Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. Co-hosting tonight for the first time is one of my comic shop guys, Colin, comic shop, not ship, comic shop guys, Colin, and that's because he is a major fan of the gentleman joining us for the second time, Mr. Paul Pope. How's it going, Paul?
Groovy, dude. No, it's
Groovy.
it's good. It's chilly Sunday night in New York City. Hello, everyone. Very
Yeah,
honored to be back, and lots of news we can share. And
yeah.
I'm sure we'll skip all over the place with topics as usual.
Well, since Colin hadn't actually heard this story, and I was so touched that you remembered, we're going to start with my personal story, which is
Okay.
like I wound up with Paul's phone number, so I can actually text him, and he hasn't decided to block me or anything, which is awesome. Um,
That's funny. Yeah. Hey, everyone.
so
This is Colin.
yeah, I got as all of our listeners know, about 2 years ago, actually, I guess it's 2.5 years ago. It was like January or February 23, I think. I got a concussion. And while I was in the emergency room, I was reading Mark Russell's Batman, or no, Superman Space Age with Mike Allred
Oh,
doing art.
I
And the
remember this.
Batman in that looked like Paul Pope's Batman 100. And then I turned the page and the Bruce Wayne looked like Paul Pope. I'm like, wait a minute. This and I had a concussion, so I didn't even like think about. Oh, I'm gonna ask Paul about this.
I
What
remember
does
you
he
bringing this
think?
to the store.
So I texted him a screenshot from the comic, and we texted about whether or not I still haven't confirmed. I've talked to Mark a couple of times since then, but either he hasn't asked Mike or he won't tell me, one or the other.
That's funny. I don't know, but there is a funny story. But you guys remember 100 Bullets, one of the best
Oh yeah, I
Vertigo.
love Wonder
Yeah.
Bullets.
It's coming back. I got a chance
Yeah.
to see some of the art when Brian Ezrella was in town last month, and we hung out. And it's going to be big. I think it's really going great. But early on in 100 Bullets, Brian's like, "Hey, can we want to use you as a character in the book?" And we went through Warner Brothers legal, so they had to license photographs from me. And somehow the process was too slow, so they wound up making this character somebody else.
Hmm.
However, the character is kind of not very likable. He's like a wimpy painter, artist guy, and then one of the Minutemen, I forget which one it was, the guy with the kind of California looking guy with curly, long
Okay.
brown hair, that guy, he comes and steals the girlfriend.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's better off I wasn't in this book. I was like, why couldn't you have written me in as a Minuteman?
You literally dodged a
I
bullet.
could, I could have been Cole, I could, or somebody. Anyway, that's my funny story. But yeah,
No, I love it.
Mike and I have a running joke about that. I mean, I've done some art for Madman, and I have a THB piece he did for me, which is going to be published in, I think the fourth volume of THB is
Okay.
all the short stories and pinups
Oh,
from.
nice.
We got a bunch of guest artists. I mean, Jeff Smith, Terry Moore, Allred,
Beautiful.
Jay
But
Stevens,
both, or at least the first two are both 22 panels. Yes,
guests. Oh yeah.
Terry Moore was actually on a couple of weeks ago
Oh
for
yeah.
his
He's a
Kickstarter.
he's a beautiful guy, man. I mean,
I love
when
him.
we first started self-publishing, it was around the same time, and we just became good friends. And back in the day, before smartphones, like he'd call me in the
Right,
middle of the night, and you never know who's calling, right? Because it's just the
right,
phone rings, and it's like, okay,
right.
what? It's like midnight. I better pick this up. It might be something important. Because who calls anybody at midnight?
Yeah.
Artists that
And,
are
and
at their table
yeah,
and
unless
know
it's
that
your
you're
girlfriend.
also at your table.
Yeah, we would just talk on the phone while he's working, I'm working, and we talk
Right,
about Led Zeppelin or inking or Carl Sagan or anything. So
right,
good memories.
right. So you brought up THB, so that takes us perfectly into it. The
Hmm.
first collected volume of THB is recently published from 23rd Street Books.
Hmm.
Um, Give us the front counter pitch, particularly because I asked Colin to join us late enough that he's ordered his copy but not read it yet. So
Yeah.
Okay.
want to make
Finally.
him desperately want to
I'm
read this
excited to
book.
read it because I know it hasn't been collected for so long. What's been the
It's never been collected.
exactly?
Never been
I did only first editions of everything because I was on a pretty small budget as a self-publisher, and there were always plans to collect. But at some point, when I kind of gradually shifted over into mainstream comics and started working on Captain America and Batman, these kind of things, which was a very good decision on my part because I had to get out of I was in sort of like, I feel like I was stuck in kind of an estuary with self-publishing where Terry Moore and Jeff Smith, their numbers were getting bigger and bigger. And all the guys at Image were just getting bigger and bigger. And somehow THB was stuck. I mean, it's still good numbers. I was doing around 15,000, I think, at the height of it.
I know
But
a
it's
lot
like-
of people at Image that would love those numbers today.
Well, now,
this
yeah.
day, yeah.
So yeah, I took the licensing to Macmillan. I almost went to Scholastic. That's where Jeff took Bone.
Yep.
And I think he did another book with them, if I'm not mistaken. But because I always wanted
Tukey is
Tukey.
Tukey's there. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's because I wanted international licensing rights. That's always one thing that's always been on my mind since the beginning. And yeah, so the first book is out, and the second one is coming in July 26th. And that's the one it's such a satisfying read. It's such a good story. I mean, I'm trying to say this objectively. I mean, I did make it, but like
We believe you. Trust us.
Well, I think that was and when you read volume 1 and then you see volume 2, there's a dramatic shift in style and design and intention because I worked in between for 5 years making manga and eventually living in Japan for a little while for Kodansha, who did Akira and Vagabond. In fact, Vagabond was coming out when I was there. But long story short, THB, I think, was a bit ahead of its time. It's now it's topical, which is strange because it actually does deal with AI.
Yeah.
Wow.
It does.
So I mean, I was thinking about
got
this.
an AI element. It definitely has
That's right.
the corporate versus art element. It's got
Well, the
freedom
elevator.
and capitalism up against each other.
Yeah, that's true. And so yeah, organization versus chaos. I mean, there's a lot of themes that I think fit well in the science fiction world. And then the key to THB is THB is the name of the story. It's also a character in the book. And the book is about a teenage girl whose name is HR. And she's kind of a sheltered, like, Catholic schoolgirl type who really wants to see the world. And she has a huge crush on this musician who's friends with her like stepbrother. And in this world, her father manufactured robots and AI, and he makes a special AI companion for her to protect her when he's gone. And so the story is about the emerging relationship between THB, which it's an interesting character because he's a tiny little gumball shaped,
It's like a Super Ball.
He's like a Super Ball, basically.
Yeah, Super Ball.
You can bounce him and you can put him in your pocket, But when he gets wet, he springs to life into this 9-foot tall super organism that is extremely intelligent but doesn't say what it knows. And it's like her personal superhero.
Right.
Wow.
And so as the story develops, we get
With
to see
the one fatal flaw that if he dries out, he goes back to being the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Because he has sort of a respiratory system. The more action he does in the duration where he's activated, he breathes. I'm putting air quotes around breathes, and then he will involuntarily go back into the ball. So that's every superhero needs a weakness, right? So that's his weakness. And then, yes, the story is about the two of them, and then there's this big kind of like behind the scenes, I guess, kind of a conspiracy that she gets involved in. And then suddenly she's a fugitive, and then she and THB need to figure out how to save themselves. And then along the way, she meets a whole bunch of artists and just cool people. And there's a lot of like meta stuff about comic books. So like in the book, they read comic books, and one of the characters is a screen printer like I am. And he makes posters for the band that her crush is a member of, and I make screen prints for rock bands, frequently. And so, yeah, it was just sort of like I threw anything at the wall that worked. But the strange thing is now, 2025, 2026, strangely, the story is contemporary. It is no longer science fiction. So I think maybe its time has finally come.
Well,
right?
except for the Mars part.
Expansion has always been on people's minds, especially the explorer types.
Right.
We got Space Force now.
Yeah, well, for what that's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a quarter. Where's the pinball machine?
Yeah, exactly.
They cost more than a quarter now. They're coming back.
Oh, I love pinball.
When I was in Columbus for CXC this year,
you went to that place in German Village, the two-story pinball place. I got a good story about that place, but yeah, I don't want to hear.
No, my friend Katie, who's the volunteer coordinator, is like, she's a serious pinball person. So like she's in pinball leagues in Cleveland.
Yeah. Wow.
So I needed to know what it was all about. So I'm like, you got to just take me to a pinball place. I want to watch you play. I want to see like what this obsession is. So yeah, she actually bumped into one of her league people in Columbus. They were in town for a wedding, but
no kidding.
Had to go out to the pinball place.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you ever come to Chicago, Galloping Ghost, the world's largest arcade, is around here, and they have a whole building dedicated to pinball.
Wow.
And what's interesting about their machines there is every machine that they have is a gimmick machine. For instance, there'd be like a Frankenstein machine where you play pinball, and there's a pinball machine within the pinball machine, or Pac-Man Junior, which actually links a Pac-Man video game to a pinball machine.
I've played
Very fun. Yeah, that's a classic. I mean,
that's
just the novelty of it.
Yeah, what was the name of that pinball place? Do you remember in Columbus?
I don't know if the one that I went to was 2 stories.
It might not be.
It also had a bunch of video games, and I heard that it was somewhat newer.
Oh, okay. It might be well, there was a place in German Village, for those who don't know, it's like there's a lot of breweries in Columbus, Ohio for some reason. And German Village, they did
College Town.
What else is there to do?
Old North Arcade Bar was the one that I went to.
Oh, okay. I don't remember if that was the same one,
but it's on High Street.
Oh, it was on High Street. No, I don't think this one was on High Street. Is like the main street in Columbus.
There's a level 1 bar and arcade that has pinball. There are 2 places called Pins Mechanical Company, one on Worth and one on 4th.
Well, okay. Geez, it's been trying to remember.
Oh no, that one's in Dublin, Ohio, which isn't quite. There's a lot of. I just Googled pinball Columbus, and there's a lot of options.
Well, I'm glad it's coming back then, because everyone loves pinball.
Yeah, there's a pinball league here. I have a friend who plays in a league in Brooklyn, and there's like in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, where I used to live. There's a place called Sunshine Laundry, and it's literally a laundromat. Like you go and you throw your clothes in. But in the back, on the back wall, there's a machine that isn't a machine. You pull the door open, there's a giant pinball arcade in the back with a bar, and it's like you would never know it's there.
Like a speakeasy.
Yeah. It's kind of like a laundromat speakeasy.
This is what I don't get. Why on earth would you decide to supplement your deli or whatever with a freaking roulette machine, which it seems like all of the delis around where I live are, you can bet here. But is it actually that much more money than a good arcade where they're not expecting to get any money back?
Yeah, I asked the owner of that place once, and because he was slowly collecting. So like when I lived there, like that's where I would do my laundry, and like one day there's a pinball machine in there. Like, oh cool, I'll play pinball while I'm waiting for my laundry. And then there's suddenly 3. And then he had like the one that I liked a lot. There was a Spider-Man pinball machine that for some reason was really good. And then I asked him one time. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is what I'm doing. I use my money to buy pinball machines, and I'm going to buy the back of this building, and I'm going to open an arcade." And I thought he was insane. And then I moved back to Manhattan, so now I live in Soho. I'm in Greenwich Village. And I went back over there, and someone told me that I was like, "Oh, that place used to do my laundry there." And sure enough, he opened an arcade. He has like 50 machines back there.
Right.
Good for
So,
him.
I mean, what else are you going to do while you wait for your clothes to dry?
well, there is a
If you
bar back
remember
there.
to bring a book, you're in
That
good
Yes.
helps.
shape. But otherwise, you
There,
already have the quarters.
yeah, right. There's a really
That's
good,
true.
I'm giving an endorsement. I'm not making any money from this endorsement, but there's a good pizza place across the street called Fornino, and they have a wood-fired grill. And I went in there one time and I had the best wood-fire grilled clams, like just a bowl of clams. They're just perfect. I didn't know I liked clams till I became a grown-up. So, yeah,
Just takes one.
Wait a minute. You grew
probably.
up?
Believe it or not,
Paul,
somewhere.
I'm so disappointed.
It all comes for us eventually.
Well, there is still like the beauty about making comic books, or probably even reading comic books, is that you're able to access the childlike quality, right? Like THB was a thing I used to think about when I was a kid. I didn't know what it was yet, but it was. I had this fantasy about like dropping water on. I think I was watching a Tex Avery cartoon. Actually, it was The House of Tomorrow. There's like a house that can fold up into like a little box, and then it's like this. It was just a great idea, and I started like, God, how cool would that be if I had a robot that he could be my friend, and it just I'd get him wet, and he turns into a big robot. Nobody knows. And so just over the years, I kept thinking about this idea and adding to it and adding to it, and then when I started self-publishing in my 20s, I just was like, you know what, I think there's enough here I can make a series out of this. And it's different enough that it's not like another, like at the time Image had so many characters like Wise Blood and Young Blood and Bloodsport and Blood Bag and Bag Sport, like these kinds. I'm like, I don't want to do another character like that. So I like science fiction. I like absurd humor, like Tex Avery. So
Right.
I just threw all that stuff together, and then we just sat on it forever, and now it's coming out and it looks like it's doing well. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
In
Yeah, I
collecting
mean,
all those
it's
ideas, did you actually write them down, keep a journal, or did
Hmm.
you just keep them all up in your head,
Oh,
and
no,
just
no,
bring them out?
no, I've got scripts. And when I revamped THB, so I did the first 5 issues of THB were done in pretty much a whirlwind pace, 1995, 96. And then I got a contract with Kodansha in Japan. And that was like, okay, this is like a serious contract. I'm gonna put THB on hiatus and start making manga. And that was fascinating because I was learning so much new stuff about manga. And they would send me stuff like every month, a box, like literally like a box of manga that they hand selected. Like, we want you to look at this, look at this. This is sort of in your style. This is a very popular one. Please read this. And so when I eventually got over to Tokyo and I was working there, I was thinking about THB all the time because we were developing a thing called Super Trouble, which was sort of the Japanese remix of THB. Like, they liked the teenage girl characters, but they didn't quite understand the super robot thing, which I found surprising because
Surprising. Yeah.
manga's
Wow.
manga's manga's full of super robots, Gundam and Appleseed and all that. So I developed a new script for THB in Tokyo, and I had the option to stay there longer. I was paying taxes over there. I had a place to live and everything, but it's like, okay, I really want to move to New York, and so I'm gonna come back, save up some money. And I had this script for THB. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna trash THB and restart it.
Okay.
And so I came back with manga principles, even though my style doesn't look like manga. And it's interesting when you read the first book. It's all work I
well, I
did.
mean, it looks like some manga. I mean, like
It
I
gradually
can
starts
see.
seeping. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like and don't get me wrong, I love my One Piece. I love a lot of the sports manga, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But I think too often we think of that as, oh, all manga is this way in the United
Mm.
States, whereas
Yeah.
manga is just as varied as, THB has Lone Wolf and Cub influences.
Oh
THB
yeah.
has um who's the horror guy that everybody loves right now is Junji
No,
Ito.
oh no, actually, I didn't know. I didn't. He was being published when I was over there too.
Okay, then
No,
maybe
it
he was
was
just looking at the same stuff that you were, but
probably.
but like there's plenty of manga that has a feel like
Hmm.
more of your characters have a Western jaw structure.
Hmm.
But like I can totally see the
They
manga.
they t they told me something interesting when I was over there because I developed a number of. Basically, they do pilot episodes. So
Right.
I think I did. I don't remember how many. A lot. And like, okay, we'll try this, try that. Like here, and all they wanted was a successful pilot. And if you had pilot meaning 18 pages,
Right.
Gotcha.
and if you introduce a character that's compelling, then people want to read it again and again. And the contract, the way it was written, it was an open-ended contract. So if you look at something like Astro Boy, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of pages of Astro Boy because people love the character. He's relatable,
Yeah.
he's charming, his story is interesting. So when we got around to THB, I redeveloped it as Super Trouble, and kind of the same premise, but I took out the super robot part. And um, where was I going with this? I distracted myself.
Sorry.
No.
All right.
Sorry. I remember. So at one point, I was having dinner with my editors, and I said, "How important is it that?" Because I'm developing my manga style at this point, right? Like, cause I'm like, I don't draw like Tezuka, so I'm not going to do the big-eyed, like sugary looking cartoon character types. I can do that, but it's not what I want to do. I said, how important is it that characters look Asian? Like, do they have to look Japanese? And they said something interesting. They said, no, because no, that doesn't matter to us. You can draw in your style. It's more about the character because young people look the same everywhere. And
Okay.
I thought that was interesting. It was liberating in that
Yeah,
sense.
that's a good point, honestly.
Yeah, because if in our American tradition, a lot of people were influenced by Alex Ross or Neil Adams or Frank Miller, or Jack Kirby, obviously. And it's like you pick up the mannerisms of that artist and then maybe you infuse it with something else. It's like, I want this to look a little bit like Jack Kirby, a little bit like Frank Miller. But over there was such a spectrum of styles and subject matter. It was really like, I mean, it's a serious, I mean, of course, comic books here is a serious industry, but manga is like, it's like a fourth dimensional version of American comics. It's just there's so much
Right.
stuff and so much production.
Right.
It's fascinating.
You lived it, so you might have answers to a couple of the questions that I've kind of developed about manga.
Hmm.
The first is like you talk about the pilot, and part of the reason that there's a pilot is manga is generally released in digest form. So it's there's what Shonen Jump and
Hmm.
there's whatever
That's the biggest.
there are
I,
all of
I,
these digests that have
mhm, mhm.
X number of stories in them each. So how do they know which ones are popular?
Well, that's what I was at the competitor for Shonen Jump. I was at Morning. At
Okay.
first, and these are all like newsstand
Right.
magazine-sized manga, which we don't get over here really.
I mean,
Um, and
bi- I mean, I would say like almost old catalog size
yeah, yeah, no,
sometimes.
it's
I mean,
hundreds and hundreds every
yeah,
week. Every
think of your old like Sears catalog that would come at
Yep.
Christmas,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
JC Penney
Mm-hmm.
catalog.
Mm-hmm.
One of
Like a
those every
previews.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
previews.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
previews.
it's almost like a
Only
previews.
it's actual
The,
comics inside.
yeah,
well,
the amount of content.
yeah, Afternoon came out on I think a Friday or a Saturday once a month, and it was hard science fiction. Had some more like sex material and violence. That was more like for adults. That came out once a month, and then they moved me over to Morning, which came out every Monday morning. And the idea was that Afternoon was the one that you read after work, and it's kind of like you're watching an R-rated Netflix film or something. And then Morning was supposed to invigorate you for the work week. And you read the manga during the week, and you've got maybe 30 stories in there, and a few gag cartoons, and maybe a couple articles about some pop star or something. And that had just all kinds of stuff in. When I was there, there was a manga about a chef. There was one about a golfer. There was one about a sommelier. then there was me with a bunch of different, like, throw darts at the wall, whatever works. And
Right.
then they had a few hits. I mean, Go Nagai was doing um, Dragon Man, or sorry, Devil Man, which was fascinating. I got to see his work every week, like literally
It's cool.
his artwork every week in the office. And that they have a very good research and development team that followed audience participation. Like
Okay.
they would do like focus groups with
Okay.
manga readers to find out what they liked. And that's why they kept changing me around. Like, okay, well, you live in New York City, so why don't you try something with a young male protagonist, more of a slice of life? And that eventually became my book 100%, which was published
Oh,
with Vertigo. And then Heavy Liquid was developed for manga
yeah.
so it was like a strange, like a messy map almost. Like I eventually got to where I was supposed to be, but for a long time I thought everything was going to be done in Japan. Kind
So
of an odd.
they helped inspire you. Like Japan helped
Oh yeah.
inspired you to get to the 100%, the heavy liquids,
hmm hmm
moving on from there. That's awesome,
hmm
man.
And luckily,
I
some of the stuff in THB, if you look side by side with the stuff that I did for Super Trouble and the stuff that I did for THB, it's because I would draw them at the same time. So a lot of times I would just basically draw the same page twice, one for THB, one for Super Trouble. And it was a lot of work. I mean, I didn't have a social life,
Yeah.
I just,
a cartoonist
Hours.
with a social life.
yeah,
I think one of the times I talked to Terry Moore, he was like, "Yeah, no, people are like, oh, you must travel the world and you show all this stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, I sit at a table for 16 hours a day for the past 30 years."
I have a friend who got married and he told, how did this work out? His wife calls him the back
Oh boy.
because she only sees his back because he's constantly at the drawing table.
I-
The back.
Kirby apparently spent time with his kids, but he didn't sleep. When they went to bed, he went down to the basement and started trying.
Well, he's like George Burns
That's
or Keith Richards. He defies logic.
yeah, you
Right.
got yeah, the amount of pages, yeah.
And he had a
Oh,
swimming pool and had a wife and he had kids and
right.
he smiled. He smiled. I mean, he
Yeah.
seemed to. I mean, the only sad thing about Kirby is he didn't get to manifest the $1 billion brain that he had.
No,
Like he
no.
knew. I mean, he's the engine of Marvel Comics.
Hmm.
Stan Lee's the front man.
Yeah.
You know,
The
and
funky Flash Man.
the
Oh, wait.
funky, yeah, he's the funky Flash man. And I believe that they eventually made some sort of a settlement with Kirby's estate, so I think he's being compensated for all of
Yeah.
his I mean, at this point, you know, thank thank you, Marvel Studios, because they've changed the perception of civilians. Like
Right.
in the old days, people thought you were weird if you weren't a child and you read comic books, and if you made them, they thought you didn't have a job. You
Yeah.
know,
You can't get
so
real work.
And now manga is becoming definitely way more popular and mainstream as well
oh
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Easily.
Well, it's also because there's so much content, I mean, if you're a publisher and you can license a popular manga, and then you can do the production to, get the translations and things. I mean,
Right.
you don't have to pay the artist to make the manga; it's already been made.
Right. Right. Um, I think Colin actually had 100% question.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Since you
since it
brought
just
up
came up,
100%
let's.
and everything,
yeah.
uh, easily that is my most a treasured work that you've created.
Thank you.
I love 100%, and it really
I
helped
can
me a
too.
lot, I would say. Specifically, the one character, Eloy
Hmm.
Kettlehead, his
Kettlehead.
storyline
Mm,
in the book really touched me.
thank you.
I'll just never forget the moment in the book. For some background for everyone, he has a very important art project he wants to complete in the book where he essentially sets off all these electric or tea kettles. He wants them to whistle in harmony at that one note. And those pages, that storyline really meant a lot to me because everyone's going, "What do you mean? What's the deal with this? That's such a silly premise." But it's his art, it's his passion. And so they go to the place, they see him do it, and he creates it, and they go, "Well, how many you got?" He goes, "I only got 32." And they go, but he sets them all off, and they go off, and they go, "Well, how many do you want? How many do you need?" And they see the beauty of it. It starts raining down. They all go on at the same note. They appreciate it all, and they go, "Well, I need 100 for 100% sound." And that just really stuck with me. The Because in the book he has a vision, he has a passion, he goes for it, he knows what he wants, he doesn't compromise. That's the end of the
I've
story. But not,
I've got the art right here. I'm going to show it to you.
oh my goodness, I would love to. But anyway, as you get that, reading that really spoke to me in the moment because it taught me the lesson. It made me learn of the moment. For you to be successful in something, for you to, succeed in life, you got to give 100%. You got
Right.
to give the full effort and not compromise. And
Totally.
I remember at the time, I was between schools, between jobs, and a little rough place. I took a photo of that page where he says, for 100%. I took a photo of that page and I made that my phone background. So
Oh,
I would
amazing. Wow.
constantly look at that every day, see it, because you just can't compromise. You got to put the effort in order to succeed. He
Yeah.
never compromised. He wasn't even at. He was only, oh, look at that. Yeah, that's it.
What?
That's the exact same one. I mean,
It's wow. It's one of the pages from 100%. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah, like the for 100% part is the part that just resonated for me. For and it
Great.
just ever since that moment, and I just wanted to thank you for that,
Oh,
for
yeah.
creating that storyline, for putting that image there. Um, it really helped
Thanks.
me out.
Thanks for reading it.
No, it was beautiful. I mean, ever since that moment, you turn it around. I turned it around. I got better in school, I found a better job, life,
Wow.
social. Just it was definitely a spark, a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question for you, based off of that, did you ever have 100% moment?
Oh,
Was there anything
absolutely.
that you read, or was there a certain moment or a person that sparked you, just like you did with me with your,
Okay.
100%?
Well, before I moved to Tokyo, my best friend and I, who I eventually hired to work with me on manga, he was doing the dot screen layouts and stuff. He was a painter. We went to art school together, and I'm just like, man, I want to get out of Columbus. I'm like, I want to move to New York City, but in between, I want to go somewhere else. So we were making manga. Now, the trick with manga is that the page rates are good, but you only get paid when they accept the work. So
Ooh,
you kind of are subject to revisions, which could be very tedious and time consuming. So we move into this lamp factory, and it was like a converted lamp factory in Toronto on Able Street and King, King or Queen, King or Queen and Able Street. I forget for anybody in Toronto hearing this. And it was full of artists, and we lived in this giant empty warehouse space. You could have put a Cessna in there, and he had a bedroom, I had a bedroom. We didn't have a refrigerator, and money was getting sparse because the manga it's like they're so demanding. It's almost like they're trying to break you. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it again, put on the coffee pot. And one Sunday morning, I was walking on College Street, which is kind of the hip area by the university. And I literally had $2 in my pocket.
yeah.
And everybody's on their dates having brunch. And here I am walking around starving with my $2. And I was like, fuck it, man. I am not giving up. I am not giving up. And I went into a used bookstore and I bought a copy of Voltaire's Candide. And specifically in that edition, he has another short story called Zadig, which is a really good one. And these stories are just about innocent fools who wind up doing well. And I think that was the 100% moment because you could easily just be despairing and like, God, I have no money, but I've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
I have a place to sleep. I got a bag full of pretzels and a bottle of orange juice. I'll be fine
You'll survive. Yeah.
until they pay me. You know,
Yeah.
and that was I think as an artist or as an intellectual, as a writer, whatever, you have a series of these obstacles, and then the character Eloy it's supposed to represent that character type who has a crazy idea. His nickname's Kettlehead, which is not a good nickname, like Lunkhead or something.
Yeah.
Jughead.
I was about to say, I mean, Jughead does okay.
Yeah,
Jughead.
he's fine.
Jughead. Well, yeah, but this character Eloy, he just is obsessed with this crazy idea, and he eventually makes it work. But his story is about the struggle of, like, by day he's a superintendent. He lives in a grain silo in
Yep.
Brooklyn. Not too different from the lamp factory I lived in.
Yeah, just what you were describing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same type of character. So I wanted to honor that struggle because I know a lot of, like, I know now for sure because the book's been in print for a long time, all over the world even. People everywhere relate to the characters in 100% because they're all based on real people. And
Yeah.
so there's elements of Eloy that are me, elements of John the busboy that are me.
Oh, yeah.
The boxer's not me. The boxer's my cousin Jamie, who was a semi-pro fighter.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's a backstories to everybody in that book. And yeah, so it was kind of like, I lit the arrow on fire and shot it into the air in the darkness for the other artists. That was what that was.
No, that's beautiful. No 100 T-Cows, though? You just came up that on your own?
I saw an art installation when I lived in London for a while when I was in college. I got a scholarship to study painting in London, which was great. I mean, that's a whole other story. But
Yeah, no
I,
worries.
I saw an art installation that was just this cacophonous noise machine some guy made, and it was like really hard to listen to. It was in just a big like brick building, and it just was designed to be chaos. And it was interesting for that, but I thought about it later. I'm like, it would be really, because I love Beethoven, right? So your opening note for like his fifth or his second, like there's always like this harmonious sound. I'm like, wow, what if, because tea kettles have a pitch,
Yeah.
right? And you can I have a friend who has perfect pitch, and she can tell you the note that the relative note of your air conditioner, like
Wow.
just or the washing machine. I'm like, God, it would be so hard to have perfect pitch. And so I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, this guy is just obsessed with making a huge volume, perfect pitch C. That's what he wants. And I'm like, it would be incredible if this thing was ever actually made, an installation of 100 tea kettles all tuned to the key of C. Like,
Yeah.
what an overwhelming experience that would be. So that was,
Yeah.
I mean, some people might cynically say it's a gimmick for the book, but it was just an interesting, thing. Because like of the 6 or 7 main characters in 100%, I wanted each one to have a different trajectory. And then that guy is the artist archetype, right?
For sure. And that's his vision. Doesn't need to make sense. That's what he wants, That's his, and that's why he's happy, because he's the one working towards it.
He winds up,
What?
yeah, because it really is. We all need completion with our work. Like if you have a regular job, you clock out at 5 o'clock or something. But when you're in the creative fields, like, in the case of comics, you have deadlines and you have contracts. And you have to finish the book and it's done, and then you can relax and your dopamine levels go up in your cerebellum, and then, but in the meantime, it's a lot of work. And it's like, God, I'm going to fucking do this again. I got to get up and, put on my tea kettle, make some coffee, sit down and do it again and do it again and do it again until it's done.
Yeah.
And that's usually at 3 a.m. when it's done and there's no one around. It's quiet. Even in New York City, like the
This is
horn
why you
stuff.
got late night phone calls from Terry Moore.
Yeah, it was.
There
I
it
think,
goes, full circle.
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm
full
sorry.
circle.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to hog up the conversation, guys. I just get
No,
excited.
Don't
you're the
be.
one. If anybody hogs the conversation, it's best when it's the guest that does. This is
Yeah.
what I've been told anyway.
Well, what's funny about Manhattan is like when I moved here basically, well, first of all, I fell in love with New York City, but at the time, all the major publishing was here. Like Marvel, DC, Playboy, Condé Nast, Scholastic, Macmillan. Just go down the list. Simon & Schuster, Overlook Press, these different, publishers, and this is where you would network. Like you basically had to be here to meet people. And it was good. I mean, I started working in fashion, I started working in film. It's all because I was here and I was available. I was able to meet people. Now it might be a little bit different, but and which is for the better because there's like, for example, there's a number of great artists I know in Brazil who are starting to get work up here. And I've got publishers in Europe, all over the place. So it's a different phase of the career. But yeah, this was kind of where you had to be, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
So
it makes sense.
Then I just stayed. I
To
decided
go
I
full
liked it.
circle a little bit, I
Mhm.
I don't know how I hadn't realized until I was reading your introduction to THB that you had gone to OSU. I had missed that. And like as I read the first part of it, and obviously reading the end of it, you did get there, but at the first part of it where you talked about being in the art program and you know comics weren't something that you were supposed to be doing, etc. And I'm like, but you're at OSU. Hasn't anybody taken you to the Billy yet? So
It
I
didn't
was so
exist.
happy.
No, it didn't exist back then, man. I mean, we
Well,
had the
it
graphic.
did
It
and
was
it
called the
didn't.
Graphic Arts Library, and Lucy
Okay.
Caswell, who runs the Billy Ireland now,
Right.
she was the person at the front desk. So that was a tiny little. There were 26 libraries on the campus at the time, and I had a 4.0. I was really studious, so I'd spend all my time in libraries basically, and either that or listening to Nick Cave or some other sad bastard music, and then I remember going to the graphic art library back when it was just this tiny little like second,
Right.
third floor garage basically. And then now look at it, they've got an
Oh,
international.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
like hearing the same story from Jeff. Half the reason that he was at Ohio State was like Bill Waterston had been there and Milt Caniff had given all of his stuff there. So
and
it's
Jeff
like
Smith was
Yeah.
yeah because
that's my
we
point.
went
That
we were I think I don't remember when he graduated, but I mean he's a good friend of mine now. But
right.
I just saw him actually a few weeks ago. It's great. Gave him a big hug, and uh, we were kind of walking the same path at the same time, but we
Right.
didn't know each other. And then I moved to California, Los Gatos, to live with my sister. And Jeff was living out there because his wife was in Silicon Valley, something or other.
Right.
And we lived on top of a mountain. I could look across the mountain over to where he was living. I'm like, Jeff Smith is on top of that mountain. I'm on top of this mountain, but we don't know each other.
And you'd both gone to Ohio State,
But yeah, and by that point,
and
I was reading Bone, and I sent him.
which
I said,
started in the Lantern.
which started it in the Lantern. They published me in the Lantern too. See what I mean? These like weird parallels. We probably ate the same cafeteria, you know.
I mean, again,
But
that's just what caught me as I was reading as I'm sitting there going, I've talked about the Ohio State cartoonist experience with Jeff a couple of times, and he, I
hmm
think, was there before you. And I'm sitting
hmm
there going, how did you miss Jeff's world?
we didn't meet until let me think. It's pretty early on for me. I have a photograph
Right.
the day we met. I think it was 1994,
Right.
95. So Bone was pretty early, but it was already a big hit. And then THB was coming out. It was getting some traction. And God bless the Image guys because they picked up me and Jeff and Terry, and they kind of like brought us along. Like they loved the self-publishing movement, you know. So
Right.
like we were kind of like the cousins, I'd say. Like we were. I mean, they did offer me a job. I worked with Image eventually, but
I
you
mean, you
know,
were the cousins, but I think you were also the ones that gave him the guts.
I mean,
Some truth, yeah.
that could be. I mean, but
Because
then,
particularly Jeff and Terry and Dave Sim were doing it before Image.
oh, that's
So
true.
I
Yeah.
think it's the three of them made them
hmm
go,
hmm
hey, what if we not only did it on our own, but we did it together on our own?
Let's not forget Mutant Turtles.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
Laird.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's how I got the guts to self-publish because by this point, I can't remember if I wrote Dave Sim or not, but I was reading Cerebus, I was reading Mutant Turtles, and then eventually I was reading All Red, the Madman.
Mad
When he
Men.
when I think he was self-publishing. Then Jeff, And it was like, there's a synergy here. Something's working. Something's working.
Right.
So I went to one of the 26 libraries. I found a book on self-publishing written by a guy who was a master parasailer of all things, but he wrote a manual on how to parasail, and he sold 1 million copies. And
Right.
he's like, look, if you have a niche market, just find what you're really good at and focus on that.
Right.
And meanwhile, I'm like, studying Caravaggio and Robert Motherwell and whoever else in art school. Like, I really love comics. I think this is kind of going against my conditioning, but I'm going to become a comic book artist and publisher.
Right.
And then I started working at a print shop to get skill and to make a little money and get a discount on printing. And back in those days, we used to make our own film negatives. So I would send film negatives up to Quebecois in Montreal, and I had a guy up there, and I would go to press checks, and like, how does this look? I like that, and I still do that to this day because I love screen printing. I have a new print coming out soon, another Lone Wolf and Cub print,
Oh,
and we're doing
nice.
I'll send you guys a link to it. We're doing a THB T-shirt this month.
oh, nice.
And I've got a couple book contracts I'm working on. So, I've got Battling Boy. I have to finish that.
It's been a
So
while.
it's, 10 years. That's a whole
Yeah.
other, well, for all the young artists out there, I would strongly caution you against signing a film contract before your book's done,
Uh,
let alone start working on the script and concept art. It's going to take up a lot of your time.
I believe it.
Just going to say that.
I mean, you mean that like it might not have just been laziness on George R. R. Martin's part? He might have gotten busy
I
and burned out doing all sorts of stuff to make.
I had dinner one time next to him. He was sitting. It was really weird. I was there. It was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I think they just announced that the last season of Game of Thrones was going to be written by somebody else because he was still working on the book.
Right.
And I had great empathy for him because I was suddenly in the same position with Battling Boy. And so here we are going to some restaurant on the marina, me and my editor and a couple other people. And there's George R. Martin with his back to the room, sitting in the corner, eating his dinner by himself. And I asked my editor, Mark Siegel, I'm like, I really want to go talk to him. Like, I want to talk to him about this experience. He's like, no, don't bother him. Don't bother him. Which is the rule of thumb, because where I live in Greenwich Village, you run into famous people all the time. And it's like, no, don't bother them. That's the rule. One time I had drinks next to Michael Shannon, and we were just talking about sports or something. And then it was right after he got his Oscar. And the minute I mentioned, oh, I write and draw Batman, it was like the cat with the hair that goes up. And then my friend who's the manager came over and he's like, don't talk to him about anything related to movies. I was like, oh, okay.
Like,
All
well,
right.
that wasn't movies. That was a comic book.
Well,
It's still Warner
but
Brothers, but yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I made the fatal mistake of mentioning General Zod.
Oh, well, there you go.
And you could tell for him it was a job, and he might not even have watched the movie for all I know.
Right.
I think he's a great actor, but that's rule of thumb. When you meet famous people, don't talk about their work. Talk about anything else.
Yeah, that's why it's cool to meet you on podcasts, because then I'm expected to talk about your work.
Well, yeah, but I'm passionate about my work, and I chose not to become an academic. I thought about that for a long time, actually, and I had an offer to teach at SVA, the School of Visual Arts here in the city.
Right.
And I thought about it, like, okay, well, I think this would conflict with my creative endeavors. Like I'm not. The time I did teach, I did a residency at a place called Atlantic Center of the Arts in Florida. And I had a hand-picked team of 8 associate artists. They're all young people. They've all gone on to do great things. But on day one, I told them, I said, hey, I'm just going to let you know right now, I have no course curriculum. I'm not going to grade you, but I'm going to show you things which you can choose to engage in or not engage in. And here's a list, and here's where I'm staying, and here's where I'm sleeping. Just put your name on the list, and when you want to meet me, come over to my place, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And it worked. Everybody was happy, and they've all gone on to creative endeavors. One of one
Nice.
of the one of the kids became my kids. He's in his 40s now, but he he when you meet somebody when they're like 21, you always got to think of them as a kid. Chris Hunt is his name, and he has a successful clothing line, a brand called Code of the West, which just blew up, and now he's got all kinds of creative projects going on. And other people I work with are now working in animation. A couple of them are film directors, writers. It's like it worked. The idea of having no structure worked, at least in that time, that place for those kids. It worked, and they all came. They all took the
Yeah.
advantage of the opportunity to come and
I
talk.
actually love that you put it that way. The no structure, the no rules, because one of my favorite comics of the year um is the middle grade book that Raina Telgemeier and Scott McCloud did,
Oh
The
yeah, yeah.
Cartoonist Club,
Hmm.
where it's like one part just a Raina Telgemeier graphic novel, it has a lot, feels a lot like drama, but it's also one part like how to make comics. But one of the things that like the librarian that's the faculty advisor for the cartoonist club says is there are no rules. You could use because there's the one kid that, which brush do I use? Which, let me write this
Hmm.
down.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, some people use this and some people use that, and some people use something else entirely.
Yeah, well, that's what Mobius told, because I'm not flexing here. I was friends with Mobius eventually.
I am very,
And
very jealous of that one.
well, we had the same publisher. And
Right,
so I did a lot of PR in France for a while for Battling Boy and for Batman. And so I would wind up seeing him,
right.
and people would quake around him, quake. I've only seen two human beings that happens with Frank Miller and it happens with Mobius. But I just knew him, and for some reason he liked me, Mobius.
Right.
And we'd go out for dinner or something, and we're talking, and we talked about craft at one point, and actually a lot of the time we talked about craft. But he was telling me he one time drew with a fork and coffee grounds, and he said it doesn't matter what you draw with,
Right.
And he's like, don't draw. It's the same thing Frank said. Don't draw
Yeah.
like I draw. Don't do it the way
Right.
I did it. Don't follow my path. You're going to get
Well,
lost.
Neil Adams fired Bill Sienkiewicz
That's great.
because
Probably the best thing that
because
ever.
because because Bill was being, he's like, Bill, you need to go be Bill Sienkiewicz. Right now, you're a better Neil Adams than I am. But
Yeah,
you
well,
need
he
to go
was.
be you need to go be a Bill Sienkiewicz.
Wow, that's great. I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Because Bill was one of Neil's assistants
Oh yeah, he
before
could.
he started making his name, and he essentially
Yeah, yeah.
got. I mean, it was a gentle firing, but it was like, dude,
Well, it's the same. Little Richard kicked Jimi Hendrix out of his band.
right,
He's like, "You're too good."
right,
I can just hear his voice. You're too good to be in my band. You know. And Jimi Hendrix got fired. What does he do? He goes on and becomes the legendary Jimi Hendrix, greatest guitar
yeah,
player of the 20th century. And
yeah,
Little Richard kept being Little Richard.
right,
They both were great, but it's like, Alex Toth did the same with me. When I was, in my late teens, early 20s, I was sending him letters, and he'd write back and he'd give me critiques. And I never met him in person, but at one point he's like, "I've had enough of you. Like, go make something that I want to read." And at the time, it was kind of crushing because I was like, "Oh God, I just got fired by Alex Toth." Like here, I'm thinking I'm going to know him for the rest of my life. He's like my grandfather, and but looking back on it, I know why Adams fired Sienkiewicz. I think it was the
right,
right thing for both of them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's Sienkiewicz that tells the story, not even Neil. So I'm certain
right.
that Sienkiewicz. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
I've heard him tell it a few times.
Well, I hope Sienkiewicz has fired someone by now because
Yeah,
that person's going to go on and become the next big one.
Yeah.
yeah. I
Bill,
mean,
Bill's one of the greatest living artists, I think.
oh,
I mean,
Bill is.
without hyperbole, I think he's one of the greatest.
I have not had him on the show, but I was lucky enough to meet him because he actually. Did you get to his exhibit in Libertyville, Colin?
The Lake County, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Alex
So
Ross is there
so
now, but
so
yes, yeah.
because Alex
Wow.
Ross is local to us,
Hmm.
The like county art or county like natural history / art museum has had a
Hmm.
couple of Alex Ross exhibits and a Bill Sienkiewicz exhibit,
Wow.
Unreal for a town
and
like this.
managed to have them come in for like talk signings.
Yeah.
Wow. Bill's,
So like
yeah,
there was one summer that I went and stared at original Bill Sienkiewicz art on the wall like
uh
literally 3 times a week for the whole summer.
wow. Oh
I
yeah,
just
no,
stopped on my way home. I
there,
just stopped on my way home and
yeah,
Yeah.
there have been a few. I've been lucky to get to know Bill. Actually, Frank Miller introduced me to Bill, and then we became friends, and we've traveled sometimes together. We've been to Brazil twice. We've been to Spain together, and every once in a while you get a chance to draw together. You
well,
know,
put
like
in a good word for me because I'd love to talk
okay,
to you again.
well, but okay, I will. But my point is, drawing with Bill Sienkiewicz is literally watching a maestro,
I believe it.
and he's so fast and so calm.
Mhm.
And we're drawing, and I'm like, I'm doing my thing over here, which I think looks like chicken scratches, and then he's making this beautiful Sistine Chapel type of, or like Rene Gruot, just flat graphic image,
Right.
and he does it so fast, and it's like like we talked earlier about the childlike quality of being an artist. It's like he never lost that because
No.
when you have a bit of success, there's
He
a
always
thing
seems like he enjoys himself.
he enjoyed, but the thing that happens is when you win a few Eisners, and people are paying attention, then you're like, oh my God, like what if that was the best I'm ever going to be able to do? Like what if I'm washed up? Oh God, how gotta do it again? How am I going to do it? What am I going to do now? And I think this is why Guns N' Roses never released Chinese Democracy, because they had so much success with their first 2 or 3 records, and then they're world famous and they got money. Um, you know, then the fear kicks in. And for Bill, I mean, I don't know for sure. I've never asked him this question, but he never seemed to get that fear.
I
He
I,
just
I
keeps going.
read
Oh,
I
good.
read an interview with Paul McCartney once
Mm,
where the interviewer it was a broad enough interview that it was clear that Paul was like willing to take all questions on. So the interview actually asked point blank, you've had ups and downs,
mhm.
particularly you were in the Beatles. Like how do you keep going? What? And Paul's just like, in my head, the last album I made is the best thing I ever done.
Mm.
Now, I know that's probably not true, but if I don't feel like it when I'm putting it out, I'd never put it out.
He's right. That's
Yeah.
totally. Well, let's also keep in mind,
So,
sir.
like a year down the road, I might look at it and go, what was I smoking then?
Yeah. Well, Sir Paul Macca, right? We know that. How old is he now? 70s, I think. He must be
Something. I think he
75
was
or
born
something.
in 42.
Ooh.
Okay, he's about my dad's age, and I mean,
Uh,
still touring, still recording.
yep.
He's taken the mantle of elder statesman of rock and roll and all that. But the Beatles were only together for
1942. He's
1940
83.
83. Wow.
83 years old.
I'd
He'll
like
be
to
at
see
the
it.
United.
I'd like to see his vitamin supplement regimen, but I guess it helps being a billionaire. But
It doesn't hurt.
think about it. The Beatles were only together for 8 years, and they stopped.
Closer to 10 because they spent almost 2 years
Oh, you're
as
right. They were
like
in Germany. They're
in Germany
at the
playing every
Reeperbahn.
night in Hamburg. Yeah.
Yeah, I read that book about what was it, The Love You Make, the history
Yeah.
of the Beatles, and they played like 8 shows, some ridiculous number.
Well, they were
I think
playing
this,
2 shows
it
a
was,
night every or 6 nights a week plus one
yeah,
on Sunday
uh-huh,
for like two. I mean,
2 years or so.
Malcolm Gladwell actually pointed out in the introduction to his book that he talked about 10,000 hours to become an expert.
There it
Oh,
is.
That
right,
like
which
they
is about
had
three
more
years.
than 10,000 hours playing together
Hmm.
before the
Hmm.
first time the world listened to them.
Well, that's what I think manga did to me, because
Yeah.
because I know that book you're referring to, and I worked it out one time, and
I think
10,000
Tipping
hours.
Point.
Yeah, and 10,000 hours, depending on how many hours you put in, how quickly, it's roughly 3 years. And it's like, okay, well, I think when I got to early THB, I had already unlocked the ability to draw because I'd already been drawing for 8 years in university. Before that, I was drawing as a kid, not really knowing what I was doing. Started working professionally. That's another 10,000 hours. And then I go to Japan for 6 years, so that's 20,000 hours. And when I got back from Japan, it's like I had two six guns and a bandolier belt. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, okay, I'm ready to do this.
Right. And when it's something that you like,
I mean,
you don't stop getting
no,
better.
it never. You know, it's funny, but think back.
I mean, you brought up Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix
Yeah.
has one of my favorite quotes ever. I think it was Johnny Carson interviewing him, and he's like, "You're so good. You must practice a lot." He's like, "Nah, man, I don't practice at all. I just play for 12 hours a day."
Ah, I like that.
There it is. That's a good way to put it.
That's a,
Really, it's the idea of
really.
no rules, your self-publishing, your creative,
Right.
your school style, for this creative minds, having the no rules, the no structure, just the freedom means that you're self-motivated to do your own
Hmm.
thing, to
Hmm.
be successful, because the only thing
Hmm.
that's judging you is yourself in a sense, because
Exactly.
you don't have and having that Eisner Award, like you said, raised that bar. The
Four
bar
of
Hmm.
was
them, I
raised, and you were
think.
worried to get over the bar in a sense. But as long as you still have that freedom, the no
Yeah.
rules, it really motivates you and lets that creative juices flow.
Yeah. It's funny because when I have four Eisners at the moment, and you take them in stride, and it's like, oh, this is great. This,
At
it's
least
what I.
after the first one.
Yeah. No, no, no. I mean, no, they're all perplexing. They're all perplexing. It's like, why
They're
are they
not
giving?
perplexing.
Is there nobody else on the list? Why are they giving me one of these?
Oh, we
I
all
talked
know.
to James
But
Sturm recently, and he lost the one time he was nominated, but the winner in his category was Will Eisner. So he
okay.
he's like,
You can't be upset. Can't be
Oops.
upset.
Yeah, we're gonna give this best guitarist award to Jimi Hendrix.
right,
Sorry, Tiny Tim. You know. But then you think like, okay, well, this is it's what I call the how am I doing department.
right,
Like, how am I doing? All right, well, I won an Eisner. That's pretty good. All right, good. Let's get back to work.
yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. It's a
Yeah.
perfect way to look at it.
Well, I'm a stoic, so I mean, I think the minute you start accepting the laurels and you think you're king shit, that's when you get lost. So
For
it's like,
sure.
good. That this is the energetic field between myself and the audience. Enough people care about this, and they went on the journey with me to get here. Okay, then my duty next is I need to keep doing it and change it and make it better. No rules, right?
Hmm.
Right.
So I'll find a way to do it differently. And even with
Um,
Battling Boy, you know, um, I've got 100 something pages of Battling Boy 2 sitting here, and it'll be out soon. And I was worried because it's like we got 4 volumes of THB coming out. Uh, I think a fifth, but the contract isn't signed yet. But that'll happen. And then I'm like, well, what about Battling Boy 2? Like they're like, don't worry, we can put both books out at the same time. Then I'm like, this is incredible. Two creator-owned series coming out from a major publisher at the same time. Like, all right, well, I better get to work.
I mean, it's a twofold thing. First, they're kind of different markets. I mean, THB
True,
kind
it's
of.
adult.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
mean,
more.
I think it could be. I think it's got some crossover to the YA, but
Mhm.
Battling Boy is solidly YA.
It's
Yeah.
YA, yeah, and
That's
that's
fine.
Right.
deliberate. Like we in the early days with Battling Boy, and you're right, it is different. This is the reason THB didn't go to Scholastic because Bone is technically YA, and there's something like THB is in no means. I guess it's R-rated, but there's no sex in THB, and there's no like drug use or something like that. There's minimal swearing. People smoke cigarettes sometimes. But you're right, it's for an older audience. So the idea is that the
I
kids
mean, I
that
think it's actually more the philosophy and the. I mean, it's like
yeah,
the
it's
thing that they call adult situations, where it's like
yeah.
what it
Oh
really
yeah,
means
it's
is that kids won't be interested. It's not
no,
that they
that's a
couldn't.
no, that's yeah, because I remember trying to read 2001: A Space Odyssey or whatever the Arthur Clarke. That's a whole other story about that. But I
Right.
remember trying to read it when I was 11, and it was just so boring. And I'm like, I can't
Right.
read this. But
Right.
I would read Choose Your Own Adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
That was age appropriate, right?
Right.
And then my dad gave me Dune when I was 14, and that was because my name is Paul Atreides. It's like,
Right.
I mean, he was, I think, 14 or 15 in the novel, and it's like
Mhm.
perfect time to read Dune.
Easy to
Mhm.
connect.
And again, I probably skipped over a lot of the philosophy and the psychopolitics and things that when
Probably
you
would mean something a lot different today than it did at
oh
14.
well, Dune is one of those books. I think I've read all of the Dune books, but over time reading uh, the first Dune novel 6 times at different stages of my life, it always has a different meaning
Yeah.
or a deeper meaning at least.
It's one of the reasons I actually am a big advocate of rereading. There's so many people who's like, "Oh, I read that." I'm like, "Yeah, but where were you?" I mean,
Yeah,
the reader is the final collaborator. So
yeah,
like
you're right.
your
You're right.
mood today matters. Your
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
previous knowledge set matters.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Mm-hmm.
are you sick? That
Mm-hmm.
matters.
Mm-hmm.
You
Time
know?
Mm-hmm.
and place is a huge factor.
Right.
Huge factor whenever
I
you read
mean,
anything.
like
Yeah.
every reading is gonna be different. It's why I love to book club things because there's so many things that like I read it and I appreciate it, but then I read it and I talk to other people who've read it and like the my level of appreciation changes immensely just because
Mm-hmm.
there's a shared amount of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, Colin, I think we're gonna have to do a Paul Pope book club soon because
Without
I
Oh,
a
need
okay.
to
doubt.
reread stuff. So,
See
Paul, I
what
mean,
Well,
there might be more talk of your work. You don't.
I
We'll
mean,
get back to you at the end of it.
that's good. I mean, I'm not going to say no. Well, there's something I was reading some C.S. Lewis essays. I think it was in his book Surprised by Joy, and he writes about the joy of reading. And of course, Joy was the name of his wife. Kind of a tragic story, but he was discussing how some books you do read once, and some keep changing and they keep growing
Right.
with you, and as you grow older. And I'm pleasantly surprised with THB. I'm not the type of guy to pat myself. I'm the type of the guy that's going to whip myself on the back, not pat myself on the back. But I'm like, oh God, what's it going to be like looking at this old stuff? I mean, God, is this even good? I'm like, you know what? This holds up.
Yeah.
Strangely, there's a lot of coded information in THB that is contemporary.
Well, and like
For
I
sure.
can't wait to talk about it when it's all out because even watching this or even reading this volume,
Yeah.
both the 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 philosophy, but watching you grow as an artist. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're so good out of the gate at the beginning of
Well,
this, but you
10,000 hours.
still
yeah.
have
Then 20,000, then
That's
30,000.
right.
exactly. That's my point. I mean, it's like we've been doing a Love and Rockets book club where we've been going issue
Oh
by
wow.
issue.
Oh
And
nice.
like if there's anything crazier than looking at the brothers and how good they are in issue 1
Oh yeah.
and how 30 years later they're still getting better. 40 years later there's
I know.
you're seeing like
Uh,
um
that,
so
so
we're starting to run up on time. There are two questions that one that I always ask, but
love
one has
it.
become a new one for me.
Loving, I mean, I this brothers.
Do we have you, Paul?
Oop, you still there?
I'm still
Okay,
here.
he's
Who's
yeah,
I'm
Paul?
here.
he's good.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here. Sorry, I was
We
just
had
listening. Yeah,
we had a
yeah,
minimal blip there.
I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
I
Yeah, all
can now.
good.
Oh, okay, okay,
We're
good.
all good now.
Yeah. The
So the two
president's a
questions have become
hologram.
pretty regular closing questions for me. One, you've like alluded to a bunch of stories, so I really want to ask you it. Um, I have been blown away at even just 4 years of podcasting about comics and getting to know people, the number of surreal experiences that I've wound up having where, this or that person that used to just be somebody that I loved their work is now somebody that I text during a World Series game or Jeff Smith took me on a backroom tour of the Billy Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that sort of
Good.
thing. And
Mm-hmm.
And what I've also discovered is everybody in comics, no matter how famous they are, has similarly surreal experiences that have occurred, that have happened in their life only because they've chosen this path, that they've been part of this community. So, is there one that you hold dear that you'd be willing to share?
The first one that comes to mind, it was my first trip to Angoulême, 1998. So I would have been 27. And, I studied French in school, had 5 years of French, and now I'm published in French and stuff. But I was intimidated my first time in Paris, my first time in Angoulême. And I'm with Sergio Aragonés and some other artists. I don't think Bilal was there, but Matodi was. I think Matodi might have been there. A few other like Jose Munoz, who I love. And I just wasn't speaking French, and all of a sudden, fireworks start going off, and we're walking down this ancient French, street, cobblestone street, and I look at Sergio, and I just nod at him, and I'm like, I have to start speaking French. I'm with fucking Sergio Aragonés. And so it just like Baru was there too, another artist I like a lot, Edwin Baru. It was like a light switch changed, and I was able to have the confidence to communicate. So I think that was the first one that comes to mind. But yeah, those sort of
That's a
like
great one.
those strange things that just happen.
Just walking down the streets of France with Sergio Aragonés.
Yeah.
I mean,
as
with-
fireworks go off at midnight.
Yeah.
How the hell did this happen?
What would 10-year-old Paul Pope say to that?
Oh, I asked myself. I had dinner with Frank Miller a couple of weeks ago, and every once in a while, I'm fortunate that we become friends, and I see him once or twice a month at this point. Maybe, we get dinner or lunch or something, and just talk. And we were talking about Ronin. We were talking about his book Ronin, and it's like in my mind there are two Frank Millers. There's like Frank, who's just my friend, and then there's Frank Miller.
Right.
And I'm like, Frank, you realize you changed everything. You went from Daredevil to Ronin, and then you brought Lone Wolf and Cub over.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, one time we were looking at Ronin at his place, and it's like I was having that feeling again. It's like, this is Frank Miller. This is not Frank. I'm not sitting in Frank's house. I'm not sitting in Frank's studio. I'm sitting with Frank Miller. And we're looking at Ronin art. And
I mean, it's crazy that you bring him up because we were just talking about him on the main weekly podcast this morning, and the way his Batman and Daredevil completely redefined the characters into a certain
for sure.
extent,
Well,
superhero comics in general.
yeah, and especially in my case, I felt like I had to get the blessing of Frank to do Batman Year 100.
Makes sense.
And we were sitting at a place in Times Square, and I showed him the Xeroxes, and it's like, he didn't say much, but he's like, wow, you're beating him up more than I do. No, but get this. When we're looking at Ronin, we're looking at one of the classic pages. It might have been the page with the samurai sticking a knife through himself to kill the demon. Like,
Okay.
no spoilers. The book's been out for 40
You're
years.
good.
Yeah, you're gonna make me go read it again now.
Oh no, it's
been a while.
worth. It's.
I know
think,
it is,
but
and
no,
and
get
I
this.
enjoyed the new volumes, so like I really need to go
Yeah.
read them together.
No, he has got a lot of life left in him, and we were looking at the page, and he's contemplative, and he's sort of like, you know what? The only thing I can think of when I see this page, I thought if I don't finish this page today, they're going to shut off my electricity. And then it's Frank again.
Artist just going
Right.
for it.
You know what I mean?
right.
It's like for a minute there, he was Frank Miller. Then he told me that story. It's like he's Frank,
see
Yeah.
that,
and I'm like,
that
I
actually-
had the same problem. I mean, there are
Yep.
times when I'm like, they're going to kick me out of my apartment,
So-
but I mean, now I
You
don't
only
have
got
that problem.
$2 in your pocket.
$2 in my
This-
pocket on a Sunday brunch day with a
Yep.
bunch of these assholes having brunch, and
Yeah,
I can't afford anything.
This reminds me of another one of my recent, relatively recent stories. In that, and I'll even name the publisher now because they've continued doing it long enough that I feel confident. But like we had a run of smaller publishers that went
Mhm.
belly up because they're trying too much to be Hollywood rather than just
Right.
you
Publishers.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like too often I'd get excited and we'd talk about like a bunch of stuff from this press or that press, and then suddenly we'd find out they weren't paying people.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. That
so
happens
when Mad
sometimes.
Cave started putting out a lot of good books all at once, I was hesitant to start plugging them. But C2E2 came up and one of my friends was tabling and he'd had some Mad Cave books. So I went
Hmm.
up to him and I said, "Hey, tell me about your experience with Mad Cave." And he's like, "They pay by direct deposit." And
It's
and
2025, baby.
and if you turn in work on Wednesday night, it will be represented on your check on Thursday.
Wow.
Thursday is the payday. So Wednesday night has become my most productive day
That's
because if I
The
get the
little
sweet
things.
spot.
paydays
That's very funny. Well, that's good to know.
so
I met a bunch of the Mad Cave guys at Baltimore Con this year. I went down there.
yeah, no, they've been doing some really cool stuff. I've been impressed with them.
Yeah, it's great. I
Um,
mean, I haven't done shows for a long time, but I did two appearances in the last 2 weeks in Manhattan here. This documentary film just dropped about THB. You guys might have seen it. I think I sent you the link to
you
it.
sent me the link. I haven't sent it on to Colin yet, but I will.
Okay, good.
Oh,
And
gosh.
we're submitting the film into film festivals next month. And
Nice.
the director, Joe Carabeo's really, really good. And we're getting good reception for that. I'm still in the middle of the press junket, like this kind of thing
Right,
where we talk.
right,
And then chop wood, carry water, right? You're only as good as your last book, right? So it's like, I
right.
got to keep it up, man.
Well, if you wind up at C2E2, I'll take you out for coffee.
Okay. Maybe. I
Um,
mean,
Love to see you.
I don't, I have a suspicion I'm going to San Diego Comic Con next year because that's when
right.
THB2 is out. In the meantime,
Or for that matter,
eh,
the uh, ALA is in Chicago this year too. So
oh
if
yeah, I
you
love it. I've been to
like,
LA a couple times.
yeah, if you wind up at ALA, if you wind up in Chicago, coffee's
Yeah,
on me.
last time I was there, I was on tour for Battling Boy, and my publicist had me on this like torturous schedule, and I'm like, can I, like 12 days in a row, like town to town, like that Spinal Tap moment where you wake up in a hotel room and you don't know what city you're in, that
Right.
kind of thing. Like, where am I? Is
Yeah.
this Cleveland? No, you're in Chicago. Oh, good. This is the weekend I get a day off because they put me in a place, the place, the Blackstone, that hotel.
Okay.
It's
I think
across
so.
from the museum.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And they had, at the time, I think they had a Francis Bacon exhibit and they had
Okay.
the Bowie exhibit that was touring with all of his costumes and his
Right.
lyrics,
Right.
handwritten lyrics and stuff. I'm like, oh, thank God. I have a day off. I'm just going to go to the museum and just soak in art and look at David Bowie. He's my hero, Bowie, and look at his costumes. And she calls me and she's like, oh, yeah, we signed up some events for you today. I'm like, is this something I can get out of? Like, I need to. No,
Are
this
they
is
events that can happen as we walk at the museum?
no,
Can't
but
do them on my phone.
no, but it was I forget what it was exactly, but it's something like, no, these are for kids with leukemia. You have to do this. Like,
Oh,
well, I can't say I
yeah,
can't say I can't say no to that. Like, okay,
yeah.
at the very least, we'll have a nice dinner at the end of the night. But it's like, all right, well, no Francis Bacon for you, boy. the
I'll tell.
Okay.
life
This
of
is
a
for
Final.
sure
this
my
fat
story.
bastard life of a cartoonist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final question. Um,
The answer is yes.
okay.
Perfect.
So the question was, how much of your original art are you willing to hand over right now? And the answer is yes. So I assume that means all of it.
Oh, oh, oh.
But
Uh,
no.
I'm
The
I'm.
No,
question.
You have to talk to Felix Liu about that because we have a long-term strategy for art sales, but we've been doing well, and
And
Felix has become a
that was
really.
my joke question because the
It's. I
answer
know
was
it was.
yes.
I know it was. Well, that's fine. That's fine.
The
I,
real
I mean,
question is, tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but we don't have rules. Preferably storytelling, but again with the rules, but something that you love and not enough people
uh,
around you have experienced it and you want more of them too, so you have more people to talk about it with.
okay. There is a first thing that comes to mind is there's a book that Milo Manara did, I think in the early '90s, late '80s, called Desiree, as in Wrath of God, DEI I think it's Latin, right? So it's Deierais, I think, Desiree. And it's a very meta comic before we had the term meta. Very, very strange, but he does some really interesting things in that book. And of course, it's well drawn. It's Minera, and it's a little bit of sex material in it. Not safe for work. Don't read it at junior high school. But from an artist's point of view, or cartoonist or comic book fan's point of view, it's interesting because he breaks the fourth wall. He changes style, and he was really influenced, I think, at the time by Luis Borgia, who's the South American writer. And so he was doing a lot of very interesting things with page design and style and how the characters relate to us as readers. So it has a bit of like a Fellini-esque thing, or like Borgia, like I was saying, or even Umberto Eco, like just strange stuff. But it's a very interesting, unusual graphic novel that I'd recommend everybody reads tomorrow. On Wednesday before payday.
Payday.
I'm
Awesome.
trying to find it listed.
It was published in English by Casterman in I think 1991. I don't know if it's been in print in English since. So it's probably on eBay or Abe's Books or something, or Stuart Eng Books.
I mean, it just, as you were talking, like you brought up Borgia, and he did his book on the other Borgias written by Jodorowsky, and you brought up Fellini, and he did a book on Fellini.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
You brought up Caravaggio earlier. His two most recent U.S. Releases have been about Caravaggio. Yeah, he's a fascinating.
You guys know the artist Yuko Shimizu?
I don't.
She's a Japanese artist. She lives in New York. Old. I don't want to say old friend of mine, but I've known her for a long time. I would say probably 25 years by now.
Okay.
But she was living with James Jean at the time as roommates, and James is like, "You should meet my friend Yuko," and she's a teacher at SVA and does a lot of illustration. She doesn't like to do comics, but she's got a really fascinating.
I mean, that's a shame, because just looking at the beginning of the images that popped up immediately, she's got a style that would work for it.
Oh yeah, but we've been fortunate to be published a few times together, and we're friends. And when we first met, it was interesting because we were just kind of going back and forth with influences, and like, oh, I'm really interested in Guido Crepax, and I'm interested in,
I think we talked about Crepax the last time you were on.
I mean, I'm obsessed with Crepax, but the point is, she grew up in Japan, I grew up in America, but we had the same influences, and so we just naturally developed similar styles. Because I'm like, her style looks a lot like my style, and she's thinking his style looks a lot like my style, and we start talking. I'm like, I've never heard of you. Well, I've never heard of you, but we're looking at the same art. So like, imagine that, like the 30-year lifespan, not knowing each other. And then you finally meet and you realize that for some weird reason, out of the billions and billions of people on Earth, this one person was interested in the same stuff I was interested in, and then developed an art career, and then was living with, James Jean's an old friend of mine too. So like, he's like, you got to meet my roommate. Just what are the chances of this? There's your other surreal story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird
I
one.
love it.
That's awesome. Well, we're living in my surreal story right now, so thank you, Paul Pope, because I would never thought I'd have the chance to thank you, especially for that work that changed me. So thanks again for that moment and everything that you've done.
Yeah,
there it is, right there with the kettles.
Yeah, I'm holding up a page from 100%.
He's holding up the page, so
yeah.
Just a reminder, So keep doing it.
I'm glad. Well, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to die at the drawing table.
That's exactly right.
I just not soon.
I keep
not soon.
Not with any luck. I mean, I keep re-enlisting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more heist, right?
Exactly.
One more heist.
I'd read a Paul Pope heist book.
That's a good idea.
Well, it's not on my medium term list, although I have written recently written a couple of westerns,
Oh,
There
which
you go.
may or may not be announced in the next year.
Ooh,
that
love
would
it.
be cool.
But I did not say that, and I'm not here.
Of course not. Of course not.
Understood.
I mean, if you need me to, I'll clip it.
No, I
I
didn't
think
give any.
that was
Well, that's fine. I mean, the point is as I'm finishing Battling Boy and now promoting THB, I am still working,
right.
and I've got a stack over here of, at this point, hundreds and hundreds of unpublished pages. So,
Perfect.
it's just,
So what you're saying is
there's more.
Like Prince, even when you die, we'll have 3 or 4 more books.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah,
Oh, wow.
Bowie did the same thing. It's like that actually would be pretty baller if I'm getting toward the end. This is hopefully no time soon, but
Yeah, no time
to
soon.
to plan for this and keep having releases from the grave, I think that would be incredible.
I mean,
You never know.
you heard it here first.
Breaking news.
Paul, it has been a pleasure. For Paul Pope, this has been 22 Panels. We will see you after the next page.
Okay, guys, stay cool.